How to play piano for church. You know, if you go to a small to mid-sized church, you know that a lot of the song service and the music ministry relies and depends on the keys player or the piano player. At the age of 16, I started playing piano at my church, and although I enjoyed it very much, I quickly found that you don't just have to be a good musician, but you also have to be a confident leader. So what does it take to be a well-rounded, versatile, and very valuable church piano player? I'm going to give you 3 areas that I think is necessary for you to master in order to do that. Make sure you stick around to the end of this lesson because I'm going to teach you the single most useful musical device that I find myself going back to and using over and over again in all 3 of these areas. You don't want to miss that. The first area that you've got to master is to play for congregational singing. So one way to play for the congregation when they're singing is in a worship style, and that is when you'll have other instruments or singers that are singing along and carrying the melody, and you just want to back them up. You would play the chords and the chord progression, but not necessarily the melody. It would sound something like this, say in Amazing Grace. But if you're the only instrument, or maybe the piano and one other instrument, like in our church, it's the piano and the organ. You'll have to take a more central role by playing more of the melody. For both of these styles, though, the important thing is to know your key signatures, your keys, and your chords. And a great way to help with that is just to practice your 12 major and your 12 minor scales and the chords that are associated with them. Next, for playing congregational, you also need to work on learning fills and right hand runs and also left hand bass movement. And so in the right hand, any way you can fill in the spaces. And so you're always on the lookout for different things you can incorporate in your right hand, runs and fills and little embellishments that you can add in. And then in the left hand, we want to incorporate bass movement and have more movement in the left hand than just a static octave. I can begin to incorporate bass movement going from the chord or within the chord. But if you want to be a good church pianist, the first thing is you got to learn how to play good, solid congregational piano and to be able to back up the congregation and really support the congregation as they sing. I have several lessons on how to play hymns in a congregational style. I'll link those down below as well. The second thing you have to master is solo piano, when it's just a piano playing for people to listen to. And in this case, it would be like prelude music. Prelude music is when you play before the service starts and just as people are coming in and fellowshipping and you're playing in the background. Or postlude music, which is just the same thing but after the service. Or for instrumental specials during the service, like when the offering is being taken up or something like that. And that's much different than playing congregational. And I found there's 2 ways that's best to do this. And the first one is pretty straightforward. Just learn arrangements, to learn to sight read different arrangements. And so there are lots of great arrangements you can find and buy that it'd be great to learn. And every time you learn a piece, you get better as a piano player. I personally love to play arrangements by Mark Hayes. He's an incredible arranger of sacred music. He does it in many different styles. He's got different difficulty levels as well. But I really enjoy learning his arrangements. In the age of the internet, it's literally a limitless amount of resources to find arrangements that you like in different styles and different difficulty levels, of which I have several that I've written. And so that's the next way to do it as far as playing solo piano, and that would be Well, craft your own arrangements. And you'll find that if you start learning these arrangements from arrangers that you like, you'll start to pick up on the things that they do, and you'll be able to incorporate them in your own playing. For playing solo piano, and as well as for playing piano for the congregational singing, I say for both of them, though, it's very important to learn improvisation skills. Improvisation is just composing on the spot. And so that would be to be able to take a chord progression, like say the one I just played for Amazing Grace. And to be able to improvise, to be able to compose something on that chord progression just on the spot. I have a lesson actually on how to craft beautiful arrangements, and it's just a simple formula that I follow every time, and so I'll link that down in the description. You can check that out. And the last area I'm going to talk about is playing and accompanying for singers, a soloist or a group, an ensemble or a choir. And this is one of my favorite things to do. But when accompanying singers, I think one of the biggest things to learn is just, again, know your chords in every key, major and minor. And you want to become a master of chords and just know them well and be very familiar with them and the different chord progressions and the chords in every key. And then also it can also help to know your 4-note chords, and that just means your 7th chords. And so if you build a chord in thirds, say I'm in the key of C, to know all of your triads in this, like to be able to play in a 3-note chord, is a great place to start. And then if you know all of your 12 major minor chords and their 7ths, which would be to play them as a 4-note chord. And there's different variations of 7th chords. You can have a major 7th, which is like that, a dominant 7th. You can have a minor 7th. If you're familiar with those, you don't even have to have a master, but if you're just familiar with them, then it'll help you so much when you're accompanying. Maybe from a chord sheet, a lead sheet, and you see B minor 7. Well, you just immediately know what to play when you see that. If you see C major 7, you know where to go and how to voice it so that it helps the singers and accommodates the melody. I also have a lesson on how to accompany a singer from a lead sheet, so I'll put the link to that in the description as well. And also it helps just to be familiar with common progressions. Many songs just include just 4 chords, and in any given key we refer to them as the 1, 5, 6, and 4 chords. The 1 chord, say in the key of C, is C. The 4 chord is F. The 5 chord is G. And then that 6 chord is an A minor. And if you know the 1, 5, 6, and 4 in different keys, you can play hundreds of thousands of songs and hymns. Now there are some progressions that have other chords in them, like the turnaround progression, which goes from the 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, and that has the 2 chord in it. But to just become familiar with these progressions, that way when someone is singing a song, you recognize the progression, you're comfortable playing, and you're actually familiar with that progression and that key. Now in all of these areas, congregational playing, solo piano, and accompanying singers, there is one musical device that I found to be more helpful and more versatile. I go back to it, I use it all the time. I use it to create runs and fills, left-hand walks, and that is the major pentatonic scale, and also a variation of that, the gospel scale or the blues scale, the major blues scale. And so let me demonstrate this in the key of C. The pentatonic just means pent means 5, tonic means 5 tones. The C pentatonic scale is these notes right here. And you can use this in any key, this same pattern. So all it does is it takes the major scale, which is these notes, and it removes the 3rd and the 7th. And then you can take this scale and use it to improvise, to fill, and for bass movement, which again I find myself going back to all the time. If I'm accompanying a singer and I'm and I want to do a fill, if I want some bass movement, I can borrow from that scale. And then if you just add one note to it, you got the major blues scale. And so go back to our C pentatonic. If we incorporate this note, then we've got a great fun sounding scale that's easy to play quickly. That black note kind of makes a bridge for your cross under, to cross under with the third. You can just a little bit of practice, you can really rip up and down the piano, and it is just a classic sound Southern gospel uses all the time. So you can start to incorporate that. And it doesn't have to be that fast, it doesn't have to be that flashy. Very simple pentatonic fills go a long way. So there you have it, 3 areas that I think are the most essential if you want to be a versatile and valuable church pianist that's competent as a musician, but capable of leading and really supporting the congregation or the singer, whoever it is, or even just setting the mood or playing a beautiful piano solo. If you enjoyed this lesson and you like content like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button right now and hit the like button. Really appreciate you leaving me a comment. Let me know what you'd like to learn next for playing piano in church. And thanks for watching.